I don't think Andrea can hear anybody.
Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our Community Development Meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd. My name is Andrea Schott, the Council President and organizer for our virtual meetings. Before we begin, we would like to go over a few guidelines to navigate this system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hands. The chairperson will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. We will not have public speaking tonight. You can submit written comments to the City of Kingston clerk, Elisa Tinty, at emtinty@kingston-ny.com, or by dropping them off at the drop box located outside the side door of City Hall. We also encourage you to reach out to committee chairs or your ward's representative at any time. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number, 845-594-6120. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number to text is 845-594-6120. As the organizer for today's meeting, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance Chair Alderman Steve Shabbat, committee members Alderman Doug Coop, Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel, Alderwoman Rita Worthington, and subbing for Don Tollerman is Alderman Reddy Scott Childress. City staff, we have Amy Peterson, City Clerk Elisa Tinty, and Director of Community Development Brenna Robinson. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times, and on behalf of the Common Council, I wish you and your family good health. I now turn the floor over to Chair Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. And once again, Andrea, we thank you for setting this all up and moderating. You've been doing a great job with all this. Everything's running very smoothly. I really appreciate it. All right, we took care of Rennie as a substitute tonight. Moving right down before I get into my little spiel. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from last meeting? Been a while now. And if so, I will take a motion to accept the minutes. Motion by Jeffrey, second. Rita Worthington, second. Everybody in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, minutes are accepted. I am not aware of any unfinished business that we have. Brenna, is there anything that we left on the plate last meeting? Okay.
Not for consideration tonight.
Okay. So we will move right on to our new business, and presumably everybody knows what our new business is. So fasten your seatbelts, and here we go. I'm going to just take a moment here. I've had conversations with pretty much everybody. I want to explain what I think the direction should be here tonight. As I've said a couple times, I think these funds have been made available for COVID-related direct responses. Thank you, Amy, for that phrase. I've been looking for a phrase. Amy gave it to me today. And these are people who have done something. They have not waited for a grant to come through. Some of these people had no idea that a grant might even be available to ease their suffering, shall we say. There are numerous businesses on the list that have really gone out of their way to provide services for our community, put themselves at personal risk, financial risk for their organizations. They have expended so much money without even having a thought that they might get money back. So I really think that's the spirit of this. I hope we're all kind of on the same page with that. And I will say, every idea I've seen, they're good ideas. Make no mistake, there's no such thing as a bad idea here. I think people are concerned about what's going on and want to help. However, there's a vast number of applications on this list that are simply startup businesses. Not simply, I mean, that's a long procedure to start up a business, based on a grant. A lot of these applications, a lot of the organizations haven't laid out money. They're waiting for money to enact, where there's other organizations that have spent huge amounts of money already without any idea that they're going to get any of this back. So I just kind of want to put my thoughts on the table there. The other thing I want to get into, see what everybody feels like this about this. The mayor has suggested that we use everything of the available funds to go out for grants without keeping any for our administrative costs. I do have I really have a differing opinion on that. And I know some of us here are wearing two hats tonight, one being community development, the other hat, which I see as maybe a little bit bigger hat. We are aldermen in charge of what's going on in this city. We have sat week after week now for a couple months and heard, the financial distress of our city, to the point that, layoffs and even terminations have been bandied about a little bit. And I would hate to see that. So I would like to see us keep our share of the administrative costs to ease the burden to the city somewhat. It will help pay salaries of people who are administering this program without taking additional funds away from anything else. So I'm not sure how everybody feels about that. I'm not sure if we want to take a minute to think about that. I would presume everybody has thought about that, but perhaps not. So does anybody want to offer anything up at this point? Which direction we would like to head with this? Doug?
I would just ask a question, Steve.
Unmute, Doug.
You hear me now? Yeah. Steve, I would just ask a question. I understand that we have the total available funds was $342,000, 341. Now, that's out of a total grant of 440. So what are we talking about keeping for administrative? How are we going to slide that? Do we have a suggestion on that? I understand what you're trying to do. You keep a little bit for administration, but put as much into delivery of services. So what is the final number that we're talking about for delivery of services? The number from economic development that I have is $352,341. Are we changing that number? I think that's the baseline from which we need to operate. Anybody?
Okay.
Are you asking Steve, or are you asking staff? Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I think Brenna would.
The question
Brenna
or
would-
the answer to that. So Brenna, if you want to jump in, that would be helpful, I think.
I just want to clarify that the total grant available is $440,000, $440,426, and we can use up to 20% admin, but it's up to you, or it's your decision on whether you want to put all of the grant toward, as Doug called it, delivery of services, or if you want to keep back for administration. You can keep up to 20%, but anything less than that or none at all is also fine. There are some costs to running this program, Most of our salaries are already covered in our regular entitlement, but there are some other costs as far as materials and supplies and something else I thought of and now it's gone. I apologize, but there are some other related administrative costs. Like I said, you don't have to allocate the full 20%, but you might want to consider it, but that's your discussion.
Okay. I mean, my personal feeling is I would like to keep it all. This is a totally different year we're talking about. This is a whole different time. I mean, once again, those of us on council sit and listen to John Toohey tell us what dire straits we're in and where we're heading, loss of sales tax, loss of all kinds of revenue, rec department revenue, parking revenue. I mean, we don't have a big revenue stream coming in. I think this would, this is, in the scheme of things, probably not a great deal of money. I'm not sure, to what extent it's going to help, but I think at this point, whatever we can move to the general fund to help with salaries, whatever, I think would go a long way at this point. Anyone? Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably Brenna's got to tell us how much of this grant is needed for you to administer it. What is the minimum amount you could use to administer this grant? The rest we would give to services. So we need to know that number before we can start allocating money to various organizations. How much money do we have to give? And that's the total grant minus whatever we're going to keep for administration. What is that number?
I don't have a specific number for you. Nor it's unusual, getting this emergency funding. And so normally we put aside 20% of our regular entitlement grant. That doesn't cover the full cost, obviously, that, of running our office. So I can't give you a number. I can just tell you that there will be costs associated with administering the program aside from our salaries. And they may be in categories that have already been zeroed out to try to deal with the crisis already. You already passed a resolution to kind of collect unused, unobligated funds to try to meet that gap in the revenue that you're seeing. So I don't have a specific number, I'm sorry, but you don't need to allocate the full 20%. That's just the maximum you're allowed to do. I don't think we would need the full 88,000. I think it would be better served to use that toward one of these applicants, of course. But I don't have a number or a percentage. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Well, we thank you for that, Brenna. I think it's kind of difficult, and I'm going to kind of put my 2 cents in here. It's probably kind of very difficult to come up with a figure, like you said, because you really don't know how much work is going to have to go into verifying information as we move forward, or you're probably doing stuff today that hasn't been accounted for even. So the work is going to go on. So it's really, I think it's going to be almost impossible, to put a fine point on how much we should keep to cover your expenses. I mean, I'm looking more, to cover city expenses, other than your salaries. Jeffrey?
I think Rita had her hand up first, so I'll let her speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rita.
Rita Worthington here. Thank you, Jeffrey. So if I'm hearing right, then any of that 20% of administrative costs, should we keep that amount? Is that strictly for your office, Brenna, or Steve's mentioned Park and Rec and other city expenses, or would it be used for those expenses as well?
It could be used to support Parks and Rec projects or programs that are being, sorry about my dogs in the background, I'm warning you right now, already funded CDBG or if you fund something tonight with this CDBG, it has to be primarily used for CDBG support. So
Okay.
our office, some Parks and Rec, because they do administer some CDBG projects and programs, not really any other department, unless they're project managing one of these funded activities.
Okay.
It
thank
can't
you.
be used other than directly supporting the CDBG activities. It can't be used for primarily general government work. So
Okay.
any other budget line in our budget in support of the CDBG work that we do, like materials and supplies or travel or that kind of stuff, we can use it for, but not for somebody in another office going to an environmental training or an accounting training or something like that. That's not related to CDBG. Does that make sense? Was that clear?
That does make sense. Just one other question. Then, so most of that, if not all of those administrative costs and that 20% will usually is used for, to cover salaries and things of that nature. If I can ask, I don't know if you can answer it, but how many salaries would that administrative costs cover?
So it doesn't cover fully any one person. We allocate percentages of our time, and then we justify the use of CDBG funds for those portions of our salaries. None of us do 100% CDBG except Arlene, and so her salary is fully CDBG, I believe. Yes, but all of the others, everybody else in the office comes partially out of the city budget because we do other than CDBG work for the city. But a good portion of our salaries are covered by CDBG.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brenna. Does anybody have any questions? Doug?
Yeah, I want to hear from Brenda. Usually we need about 20% to administer the CDBG grants. Now, in this amount of money, we can either distribute it all of it to one person, which means the administrative cost would be very low, or we could administer it to, I think there are 39 applications, which means the administrative cost would be extremely high. I think we're just going to have to pick a number and say, stick with the 20%. And go with that, and then allocate on the basis 20%, meaning $88,085 will be for administrative costs. The remaining $352,341 would go for the distribution of services. We have to pick a number somewhere, and let's go with the historical number. My suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. Are you agreeing or you have a question, Jeffrey?
No, I was going to say I agree with
Jeffrey, are you just agreeing with him?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Andrea?
Yeah, my thoughts was just, can you hear me? I'm having audio issues. Yes. Okay. So my audio is cutting in and out. So sorry if I'm saying something that's already been asked. But I don't know. I'm kind of hearing that we may not need the full 20%. So I do think it would be wise to give some puts aside because we don't want to put it into to have the city take a hit to administrate this. But I kind of think that if we go with 10%. If Brenna thinks that could potentially cover the costs, I'm just wondering why we're going with 20 and 10%, and if there's any thoughts to that.
What do you have an opinion on that, Brenna? Is 10%? And I don't mind. Hey, if we want to compromise, that's all well and good. I don't mind. I just really have my doubts about giving up the whole 20%. What do you think about 10, Brenna? You think that would?
Without having a specific amount, I mean, yes, that would help administer the program. I mean, like I said, most of our salaries are already covered with our regular entitlement grant, but there will be some unexpected costs that always pop up with administering these programs, and a little bit for, like I said, materials and supplies. And it, you know, if you want to change it down the road, also that can be done too. We can always amend it if we find that you don't need the full 10%. You could reallocate it in the future.
Okay. All right. Actually, having never been here at this juncture, I'm presuming we would need a motion to decide on the amount, right? I've never been this far in a meeting,
Yeah.
so
I think
I'm
that would
treading on
be, I
new,
think that would
this is
be,
new ground.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that would be a
Hi,
good
Brent.
start if you want to make a motion about, you know, adding something that the mayor is not already funding in his recommendations. You can start there and then work your way down the list, of any changes, if any changes other than that.
Well, I'm referring strictly to the administrative costs. Someone said 10%. Now, do we need to have a motion for us to move from the 20% that we're allowed to down to the 10%? I'm presuming we would have to make a motion to approve even the 20%. Any percentage, I'm guessing we have to make a motion and agree on it. Go ahead, Brenna. Brenna?
So normally we just assume we're going to use the 20% in our regular annual allocation. So normally you don't have to consider that, and you consider it as part of the whole when we vote on the whole list of funding recommendations. But in my opinion, I think it would be a good start to do a motion and a vote on adding administration, because it's different. You know, it's not recommended funded at all in the mayor's recommendations. And then after that, go through the whole list of the activities that you would like to fund, and then do a total vote on all of those.
Okay. All right, so I'm still getting a little lost here. So we don't need a motion for us to use 10% of the administration cost as opposed to 20%.
No, it should be because we didn't have anything. So you could just, if everybody's okay with 10%, then you could just ask if there's a motion to allocate 10%. You don't have to erase the 20%. If you want to go with
Right, that's
20%, somebody could motion. So yeah, I mean, it is confusing, but so you could just make a motion for whichever percentage, or not you, but somebody else can.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion that we use 10% of the administration? Doug, is that a motion?
I have a motion, but I make a motion that we keep 20%. I can't believe that all of a sudden we're going to get so much more efficient that our administrative costs are going to be half what they've been in the past years. I would like to keep 20%, and then if it turns out we don't use it, then we can reallocate it. I don't want to. I just don't
Okay,
want to
Rennie
come up
has
short of it.
Okay, Rennie has a question,
That's
and
my
Brenna.
motion, 20%. My motion is 20%.
Okay, we have a motion, we have discussion. Rennie, do you have this? You want to discuss? Rennie? Can you hear me, Rennie? Turn your mic on.
I'm in favor of 10%, not 20%.
Okay, Brenna, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to try to clarify for Doug. So I don't think we need the full 20%. Most of our administration for the 2019 activities has already been covered. Even if we add these, it's already been covered with the 20% from that 700 and change that we decided on in, gosh, what was that, March? So there will be some administrative costs associated with these new activities that are being added, but I don't think you need the full 20. I'm not prepared to recommend what percentage, but I don't think you need the full 20.
Okay. Doug?
Based upon Brenna's comments, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Rennie? Turn your mic on, Rennie.
If
Okay.
Doug withdraws his motion, then I move that we set the administrative fee at 10%.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor for 10%. Rita, you seconding? Second by Rita. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried. We will go with the 10%. All right, thank you very much. Okay. Now, at this point, we'll move right on to the grant applications themselves. I'm presuming by now everybody has had ample opportunity to look at everything here and see which direction we want to go. Is there anybody who hasn't seen the mayor's recommendations? Okay, so everybody has time to digest that, I would have to say. I'm not sure, do we have a preference on how we want to proceed? Do we want to go down the list? Or do we want to see if we can narrow it down? If everybody has a short list, we could go through short lists. I'm not quite sure what's the best. I've been thinking about it, but I really haven't come up with a best idea. So if someone has a good idea how we want to go through this list, feel free. Now's the time to tell us. Otherwise, I would say we'll go through the list of applications.
Steve, Rennie's hand was up.
Oh, sorry, you're down at the bottom. This is full disclosure here. I'm very sorry, people at the bottom of the screen. I have a blind spot in my eye, and I really don't see things down there. So I'm not ignoring you. I just literally don't see you down there. So I'll try and keep an eye on the bottom row. All right, Rennie, go ahead. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Maybe you can just turn your computer upside down and that would help.
There we go. Well, then I wouldn't see everybody on the top row. Somebody's going to be the odd man out.
I don't know.
Now I lost.
I don't know about you all, but I have a pretty significant delay on transmission, and so I'm sorry if I'm out of sync when I say things.
Well, you're always out of sync, but that's all right. You don't mind.
I wonder if there's a way we could just figure out the ones. Well, I don't know. I'm torn between going through first and saying which ones none of us agree to, or just going down the list one by one, just so it'd be more orderly to do it.
Okay. Brenna?
For the ease of my keeping track of your discussion, could we start at the top and work our way down? And maybe go through and identify the ones that you're all in agreement that you do not want to fund. To start.
Okay. All right. Do you want to, it might be easier since you're doing the note keeping, you can, if you want to say the names and any information you want to give, that way you can kind of go at your speed since you're doing all the heavy lifting here with the writing and keeping track. So, why don't you kind of lead us through the list?
Amy's keeping notes. I'm just working the spreadsheet like I usually do.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Amy, I keep forgetting. I don't see you there. I kind of forget you're there. Sorry about that. Okay, Amy, you want to start us off on the list?
No, I'll do the, I'm sorry. I'll do the list. I'll do the spreadsheet, the list. Amy's keeping minutes. If that's okay.
Can you guys hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
We can. I can anyway.
So I sent you all the spreadsheet earlier this afternoon. If you all want to pull that up with the mayor's recommendations, as Brenna goes down the list, you can start to throw the numbers in there and then scroll down to the bottom and you can see where you are. I've already put in, I mean, Brenna and I can both work on this. I've already put in the administration amount.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Sounds like we got a plan.
okay.
Brenna?
Let me know when you're ready. Ready? Okay.
Ready to roll.
So, the first one, Mazen Beauty Hair and Training Center. Anyone in favor of funding that? And if so? Doug, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I couldn't see you. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm
yeah,
going to
I'm
put a
here.
0 there
Sorry.
for now. Okay. Number 2, Artport. I'm seeing no recommended funding for that at this time. Number 3, Ask. I see a no for everybody for that right now. Back, Business Alliance of Kingston. So I'm not seeing heads shaking. So you're thinking of funding that one. So let's skip that amount. We'll come back to, oh, Jeffrey,
No,
we'll skip
okay.
that amount, come back.
Do you mind if we do it that way? If somebody raises their hand and they're in favor of some kind of funding and we can come back to it?
Yeah, that's fine. Shake your
Right.
head for no, and I'll put 0 there. Raise your hand for yes, and then we'll come back to it.
And then
Okay.
we can come back and
Everybody's
have a discussion. Okay, thank you. So if anybody's in favor of funding one of them, just raise your hand and then we'll come back and discuss it. So everybody will hear the discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to Boys and Girls Club now. Is anyone in favor of funding? Okay. Moving on to CCE. Is that a positive or a negative? Okay. CLP. Citizens for Local Power. I'm
Citizens
sorry.
for Local Power.
It's is anyone interested in funding that agency at this time? Okay. Community Manufacturing Solutions. That's a no for now. Draw. No, okay. I'm going to put a 0 there. Education for Excellence. No. Family of Woodstock. Okay, I'll leave that amount for now. We'll come back to it. Gateway. Okay, we'll come back to that. Maritime Museum, Hudson River Maritime Museum.
Who?
Hudson River Maritime Museum.
Maritime Museum.
No. Inspire My Mindset.
Brenna, I'd like to come back to the maritime. I'm really,
Okay.
I'm not quite convinced, yes, but, maybe we could have a little discussion about that.
Okay. Inspire My Mindset. No. Jewish Federation. No. Kingston Ken Code. No. Kingston Land Trust. Rennie, did you raise your hand or scratch your nose? No, okay. Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. Okay, we'll come back to that. Millard Building Hair Designs? No. NYSES, New York Solar Energy, I forgot what the last S stands for. No. Peaceful Guardians? No. People's Place?
No, that's People's Place.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's not Peaceful Guardians, it's People's Place.
No, Peaceful Guardians was
People's Place.
added. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that on my list. When was that added?
She sent it. It's in the
I don't have
spreadsheet that was sent today.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize anything new was added. I thought it was the same information. Can we
So
get the
there
little-
were,
update on
yeah, I'm actually going to let Amy talk about the application, but there were two or three. There were definitely two, and then this is the third, where when people cut and pasted my email in to respond to send in the applications, it didn't come through. And so he then forwarded the email that he sent, and it was submitted on time, but I had no record of it. So we allowed it to be included, even though I didn't get it until after the deadline. When Amy emailed people for their questions, Mr. Strong realized that he hadn't been asked any questions, and so he reached out to Amy, and we found that the email hadn't gone through. So the email that he sent is timestamped for before the deadline on May 6th, but we didn't see it until she sent it, I think, last week to you all with an updated spreadsheet.
I included it with the Q&A.
Okay,
It is, begins on page, I sent that once again this afternoon. Cover sheet is page 25, and then it begins on page 26. It is a
okay.
distance learning application. It's
What
an
is it,
online
Amy? Say that again?
Hang on one sec. Can you hear
Can
me?
you explain how much are they?
Yes.
They
Yeah,
are.
I'm sorry, I was
asking
out all afternoon, so I didn't see that. So I don't even know how much they're asking for.
They're asking for 25,000.
What did the mayor
Who is
say?
this?
Mayor says he recommended zero.
So,
I'm sorry, Brian, who is this?
This is Peaceful Guardians. If you look at the 50-page document that I sent it last week and I sent it again this afternoon. It is in there with all the Q&A of the particular applications, and so I added that one on there. It begins on page 26.
Amy,
And
this is Rita.
Hi, Rita.
I might be looking at the wrong sheet. I had on mine that they were asking for 45,000.
Yes, they are asking for 45,000.
I thought you said 25. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said it starts on page 2. The cover sheet is page 25 of that document that I sent this afternoon. But the application itself, the description is on page 26.
And
And
the
so-
ask is $5,000.
45,000, yes.
45. And what is this going to, can you, without going into great detail, can you just give us a little rundown of what they want to use these funds for, Amy?
It's an online tutoring service, for extra support. It's about, for 4 months worth of online tutoring so that they don't lose too much, from the distance learning. It's 800 tutoring sessions lasting 45 minutes each. And there can be up to, excuse me?
Who is the tutoring aimed at?
It says low to moderate income, underserved students in the Kingston school system.
Okay.
So,
Right.
it's, he's saying that, you can have up to 5 students per session. For the past 18 months, they've served nearly 100 students in the development of social, emotional, and leadership skills in Kingston's middle and high schools. What else can I tell you? It's, as I said, it's a remote, distant learning project
Yeah.
program.
Is this, have they somehow made a connection to the COVID crisis with
COVID?
this? Or is this
Um,
really as part of the, the policing?
Yeah, it's, COVID-19 has changed the structure of education. Integral to that change is distance learning through online instruction. So it's a boost for students who are struggling and, for those who do need the extra help for online courses.
Okay.
Now, there are many, teachers are teaching online, but for a student who's struggling, how can they get extra help? And this affords that.
Okay. Can I recommend we come back to this one, because obviously everybody is really not, up to speed on this one, including myself. I apologize, but I wasn't here this afternoon, so I didn't see this information. And I really haven't had time to digest it, but if we move along a little and come back to it, maybe everybody will, have some
Steve,
thoughts
we're
ready.
coming back to which one now? Because I didn't see it either.
Peaceful Guardians.
Peaceful Guardians.
Okay.
It's in the spreadsheet that Amy sent today,
Okay.
but she sent it before today in the package with the Q&As. It was
Okay.
definitely last week. I'll have to look at the date.
All right. I apologize. I don't recall seeing that. Okay, what, does everybody want to come back to it, or do we want to discuss it right now? Why don't we stick to
Let's come back
I don't see anybody shaking their heads no, so why don't we come back to that?
Okay, so I'm going
Everybody
on
good with
now.
that?
Yep, I'm sorry. Going
Go
on
ahead.
now to People's Place.
People's
Okay.
Place.
Rams Valley. No. Rennie, you're kind of frozen in the video. Are you still on audio? In my video. Does everybody else see him okay?
No, he's
It's
frozen.
He's frozen.
Frozen and blurry.
Can you
Good
hear us?
combination.
Okay, do you want me to proceed? Because you still have a quorum, even if he's not able to communicate right now.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back. I know he had some things to say about a couple of these. I think we're coming back to People's Place, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Rams Valley, no. Now we're on Rise Up Kingston. I believe Rennie
Okay.
does have some input for the Rise Up Kingston application. So why don't we come back to that one and give Rennie hopefully a chance to get back online.
Okay. That's fine. Repco? Okay. We'll come back to that. And Seed Song Farm?
Who?
Seed Song Farm?
Seeds.
Is that a no for everybody? Sunrays? Supreme Cleaning Service? Oh, there's Rennie.
Hey, there he is.
TMI Project? No. Charlie Museum, TMNY? No. Community Action? Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, UIDN? Okay, so we'll come back to that. United Way. Okay, we'll come back to that. UPAC. No, okay. YMCA Emergency Childcare. Okay, come back to that. YMCA Lend-A-Wheel. No Lend-A-Wheel. And YMCA Meal Organizing was withdrawn. So the YWCA. Anyone want to talk about the YW? Okay. Okay, so I guess if you want to start at the top, the first one that you all wanted to talk, that you indicated that you would like to talk about was BAC, Business Alliance of Kingston. Who wants to talk about Business Alliance of Kingston and throw out a number maybe?
Yeah, I'm a little confused with it. Aren't they, and excuse me if I'm being dense, but aren't they accomplishing the same purpose as the grants that are going out? I'm not quite sure, who are they going to be giving this to that wouldn't have applied for these grants we're dealing with right now? I'm a little confused as, what the criteria is going to be for these micro grants. I'm really, a little confused with it.
Are you asking me or are you asking the group to talk about it?
I'm asking anybody that has an opinion on this. I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer. I'm just looking for something just to clarify it. So if anybody has an answer for that, I would appreciate hearing it.
My 2 cents are they're probably reaching people who either didn't qualify for the SBA loans and grants that have been advertised, or were unaware of it, or for whatever reason could not apply for it. Not eligibility, but perhaps weren't aware of it and didn't have the travel to go to get help at the SBDC or the internet or whatever. That's an assumption. But I know that they will be helping, if they're awarded, they would be helping businesses like that who either weren't eligible for or for whatever reason couldn't access those grants.
Okay. All right. See, the mayor recommended reducing it to 45 from 60. Does anybody have a thought on that?
This is from who?
Go ahead, Doug.
This is for who?
Business Alliance of Kingston.
This is
back.
Again,
Business Alliance of Kingston.
I'm still not hearing.
Business Alliance of Kingston.
Okay.
It's number 4 on the spreadsheet.
While Doug's looking for that, can I say something?
I found it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Doug?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Rita.
Okay. So I'm not, just so you know, I'm not in favor of this ask or the mayor's recommendations for this. Looking at some of their Q&A, so they say that some of this money will be used for them to resume its professional liability insurance, and to determine salaries for self-employed artists working from home. So I'm not in favor of funding this one at all. I'm more in favor. I think that we can use the funds. They will be better allocated toward, some of the organizations that have directly impacted the crises with the COVID. So that's where my mind is traveling right now.
I'd agree with Rita. I don't favor this.
Yeah, I also, I mean, that's exactly my philosophy. We should be dealing with people who have spent money, not looking for, other ways to give out money. I think our concern here is taking care of those who have spent a lot of money they might not have had, just to do the right thing. So yes, I agree with Rita. Anybody else want to comment on that?
So it sounds like, Brenda, we're going to put a 0 on this and we can come back if we want to, but we can probably move on the list.
Okay.
Yes, I have a 0 there for now, and moving on to Boys and Girls Club. Okay, I don't think Steve was looking at the screen, so I saw everybody put their hands up in favor of funding it at some level. Does somebody want to put a number to that and have a discussion about it?
I'm not sure who put their hand up first. I'm going to go with Rennie.
I don't either, sorry.
Thanks. I think this is a really important service, and I think that Boys and Girls Club is really rooted in the community. And for them to be expanding is the sort of thing that's really going to help families, particularly if they've got working parents. And so expanding their day to make it possible for kids to be there for a longer period of time, I think is really important. And I would, at this time at least, go for the full $15,000 that they've requested.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. I think this was a real hardship for the Boys and Girls Club to come up with this money, for this program. So, I would hate to see it scaled back. I mean, I'd be in favor of keeping the original amount. It's really not, it's not earth-shaking a difference. It's not like we're going to give them an extra $50,000. I mean, they're only asking for 15 total. So, I would like to give them that. Anybody else? Thoughts? Jeffrey, you're shaking your head yes? Okay. Everybody good with that? Anybody not good with that? All right. We're good with that.
Nope, I think that is not good entirely with that.
I'm not good with it. I'm all for favor of the Boys and Girls Club. I'm looking for a general process here. We seem to have come to agreement on all those organizations that we want to fund. And unless I missed one or two, I've come up with about 8 that we want to fund. Now the question is, how do we allocate the $380,000 to that? I'll just throw out a suggestion that we prorate with what they asked to what's available.
No.
Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be hit or miss all the way through this. I'm looking for a unified process to go through this. I don't object to the Boys and Girls Club. Don't misunderstand me. I'm very supportive. It's just how we going to go through each of these and come up with amounts, because I think what's going to happen, we're going to come out with more than $383,000.
I'm sure we will. Jeffrey?
Yeah, I suggest we do the same way we do for the CDVG and go one by one and decide on an amount as opposed to a percentage across the board, which would leave some organizations with very little and some organizations that are asking for half the total we have available with half the pie, basically.
Okay.
There should be discussion on all of this too, because it may change. There needs to be discussion on it.
Right.
I'm good on it.
Okay, Rennie? Rennie, can you hear me?
I was just going to say, if all of them did something, if all of them did something similar, then I would say Doug's plan would work. But I think, there's differences between people who provide housing, who provide food, who provide other services. So we need to be a little aware of that.
So we're 15,000 for boys and girls, is that what I hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on to Center for Creative Education, CCE. The mayor has recommended 10.
I'm good with that ask. I'm good with that 10.
Steve Rennie has his hand up.
Rennie, go ahead.
I love what CCE does, but they did receive money in the regular CDBG grant allotments. So I don't know if that into folks thinking here. CCE and DRAW both received money already. And so my other concern with the CCE one was in their responses to our questions, they seem to be saying that their use of the money or their plan for it was evolving. So I personally didn't have a strong sense that there was a clear project that the money was going to go to. If I'm happy to be wrong about that, but
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and I saw part of the write-up was covering shortfalls, and I don't know. To me, that's kind of a slippery slope, because we have thousands of businesses in this community that have been affected adversely by this, and I'm not sure about making up for shortfalls, because of the pandemic, and that's just my opinion. Because I didn't see it, it was kind of unspecific, different programming, and but I really wasn't quite sure where they were going with it. But that's certainly just my personal opinion on that. I do like what they do. They do a lot of good things. I'm not taking anything away from that. Rita?
They did say that they would be running programs for the summer, at the Hodge and at the Roundout Neighborhood Center, which I think would benefit our kids, especially during this pandemic, because our kids really don't have anything to do right now. And so I'm not in favor of giving the full ask, but I do think that, it would be beneficial for our kids to have a something to do this summer.
Jeffrey?
I had in my notes 5,000 for them, but now looking at what Randy just said, they did get funding. They did get $8,000 in funding for after school and summer arts programs from the regular CDBG. So I'm wondering is this for something different, or is this just making the difference of the funding they didn't get through that process?
Amy, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sure there's no answer to that.
It looks in the application like they're trying to make that virtual, and there may be some additional costs to that. The things that they were funded for that they could have done in person, they now cannot do in person. I don't know if you want to consider that, but they did. Yes, they were funded for those things, but now they can't do them in their classrooms. So,
Steve?
Rita?
I make a suggestion that maybe once we've allocated and gone through all of the programs, and if we have funding left, we come back to CCE. It looks like we're not funding some programs, which had large amounts to it. So there may be something left at the end.
Okay, yeah, and maybe we can bring it down a little bit to fit. I mean, I would like to see them get something, because they do provide some valuable services to the kids here. Okay, everybody want to go with that idea?
okay, I've highlighted it, and we'll come back to it at the end. The next one that
Okay.
you all wanted to talk about was Family of Woodstock. Their ask was 220,000. The mayor recommended 200.
Jeffrey? Jeffrey, go ahead.
I think we're stretched out very thin here. I mean, I love what Family of Woodstock does. I think they provide some essential services. They've already received $60,000 from the city throughout this process that some of these other organizations didn't get. And I don't know, I'm conflicted because this is half, more than 200,000 is more than half of what we have available to give. So I'm not in favor of that much. I think they should get something, but that seems like a very big ask.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's really tough to justify giving half of the money to one organization when there's, we have a very lengthy list here. Rennie?
Yeah, I agree with that because I think RUPCO certainly deserves to put some of that money to use. So, I mean, both of those are doing something similar. And maybe we could try to find a way to balance the two of those.
Yeah, I agree.
So
So what are we proposing?
by
now?
balance, you mean splitting it more evenly? Or I'm not sure.
Well, RUPCO's ask is 87,000, right?
Right.
No, they're,
Right.
Yeah,
87,000, is that correct?
yes. Right. And the recommendation for RUPCO from the mayor was 0. And so I agree with Rennie. RUPCO is very necessary in this community. They're one of the few organizations that actually provide affordable housing and have done it. And so I definitely think that
And
they are
they're-
deserving of some of this money to continue the work that they do.
Sorry for the delay. I
Yes.
thought you were
Okay.
done. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, and RUPCO is also already doing this county-wide, which is excluding the city of Kingston because of this money. They couldn't be included. So this is something that they're doing right now. So I think it would be kind of foolish of us not to use their expertise to help with the housing costs around here. Housing assistance, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
do we
doesn't-
want to decide
We are
on
with
an amount, or do we want to come back to that one too?
for Family of Woodstock, you mean?
yes.
Yeah, whether there was discussion on, altering families, because it might be kind of the same thing as RUPCO. So does anybody have a concrete formula here you want to use, Rennie?
What if we do 80,000 for each and then see what we've got when we get to the end of the process here?
That's a good starting point. I would say let's go with that. That's a good place to start.
Okay, I've put 80 in each of those and highlighted them to come back to those also.
Okay.
The next one you wanted to discuss was Gateway. One of you, I think, or two of you wanted to discuss the Gateway application.
I'm not sure who raised their hand. This is another one. I mean, Gateway does tremendous things for the community, but they really haven't outlaid anything that I could see in their write-up. It's kind of a startup thing for them. A new venture. With other organizations. They really haven't done anything. That they've outlaid any kind of expenses, due to COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way I read it. And, this might be something, more appropriate for the regular block grant application rather than this. I didn't really see a connection between what they wanted to do and the COVID situation. I don't know. Amy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, they're asking for 82,000, and they wanted to supply meals for those who were, just recently discharged from the hospital.
Right.
Let me re-look at their budget table and see, I know that I discussed that with her and, what's her name? Vicky. And she was explaining, like there was 5 categories of people to whom they wanted to distribute meals. And let me find that on the sheet. Where are they?
But Amy, the point I'm trying to make is they haven't done that yet. They want
No, they
to do
haven't
that.
directly responded. They've had no direct response to COVID.
Right. This is something they would like to do if they
Correct.
receive money. Right.
Right.
So there
Right.
has been no outlay of expenses.
No, to my knowledge, they haven't done anything to respond to the crisis.
Okay. So, I mean, go ahead, Andrea.
Amy, I'm looking at the questions that you sent us, or
Right.
answers, and just in the answers, the Gateway is working with the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative, but that's so they didn't work with that before during the first few months of COVID.
I'm not sure. Hold on. Let me go.
Because
The
it does say
budget
it's
table is
working.
41. What page is? Oh, never mind. I can find it. Hang on. I can text Emily
It sounded
Flynn
to me like it was
see.
I
Amy,
didn't
you want
get
me
the
to ask
impression they
Emily?
had been doing.
Oh, okay.
page 10.
Yeah, they
Page
did
10.
that. Oh, I don't think they've done anything yet. I think that what they wanted to do is to start to work, and I had hooked her up with Emily Flynn to see how they could then coordinate. Because in her application, one thing that she said is that the city of Kingston will identify LMI. And I let her know that we do not have the capacity or the resources to start to identify those in need. So she then worked with Emily or not worked, but they're working. They've agreed to work together to try to get this program started. So in answer to Steve Shabbat's question, no, they haven't done anything yet, but they are willing to work with the KEFC to start to prepare. I mean, they prepare meals as it is now, so they just wanted to expand that to help those coming home from the hospital, et cetera.
Okay. I mean, once again, I'm going to put my opinion out there, that I really think the spirit of this is to help those who have outlaid expenses, not to explore. This is great. I really love Gateway. I mean, they do such great things, but they really haven't, they're looking to do something down the road. They haven't done anything. So, to me, that's really an overriding factor, when I'm weighing these things. Renee, is your thumb hurt? Is that, you got a cramp? Anybody else?
I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay. Rita, you're agreeing. Jeffrey, you're agreeing. So
Are you agreeing
are we
to
agreeing?
0 there? Is that what you?
Are we agreeing to 0? I really think this is more appropriate for the regular block grants. I really don't see a connection between COVID and this application. Much as I would love to give them something.
Okay.
Anybody
I put a
else?
0 there,
Do we
and
want to go with 0? Okay.
The
I mean,
next
I know they haven't
application that,
responded yet, but they do want to prepare meals for those recovering at home who did have COVID, so. But 0 is fine.
the next, applicant that you wanted to discuss, somebody wanted to discuss was the Maritime Museum. I think maybe it was,
Yeah, I think I raised my hand for that. And again, this is one of those things, they do so much for downtown. But again, they haven't outlaid any expenses. So, I would be hard pressed to say, yeah, let's give them $29,000. They have a nice sounding virtual learning program available. But again, I think this is more appropriate for the regular block grant process, not really, I'm not sure how much of this you could consider COVID related.
Right.
I mean, I guess people are stuck at home, but they don't have the system up and running. So, by the time they get it up and running, I think people will be able to go to the Maritime Museum.
Right. I agree.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, even in their Q&A, they point out, they say, obviously, our request does not address the direct needs of hunger and housing.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think they're acknowledging that. I think they're just trying, and certainly it's an admirable thing. They want to keep their programming alive, and I don't blame anybody that operates like that because, hey, if you're out of the business for 6 months, people kind of forget about you, and it takes you a while to get back. So I certainly understand their line of thinking, but again, I would rather give money to people who have been out doing things for our community. Anybody? So I would say 0. All right. Looks like we're all on board with that.
moving on to Legal Services of the Hudson Valley.
Well,
You are all
I think this is,
on my screen.
I'm getting a lot of feedback and a lot of late conversations going on that I hear. So I'm gonna forge ahead, and I would say, this is something. It's very tough to put any kind of number. I mean, I don't think we have any idea of how much legal services is going to be needing over the next several months. 120 is a lot. And I think, aren't they taking on a full-time attorney? Isn't that what they want to use it for? Doug? Turn your mic on, Doug. Doug, turn your mic on.
Full-time equivalent for 1 year is what they're asking. Which
All right.
for 1 year for an attorney is not unreasonable. It's a question whether we want to put that much into it.
Right. Anybody have any thoughts on that? I mean, again,
What did we give them in the regular grant cycle? I don't think we gave them a whole heck of a lot.
My recollection is they put in for a couple things and we kind of consolidated it into one amount, but I don't recall what it was.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on.
I
They
believe
got
it was
15,000.
16 last
How many?
time.
15,000 for eviction prevention.
15,000, yeah.
Okay.
For the work they do and for the challenges that are facing them, there's a lot of work out there. I think they need this funding. I'd like to see a whole lot of support for them.
Do you have an amount of support in mind? You want to go with the whole thing, or cut it down? You want to have a starting point?
I'd go 100, 120.
So you want to go with the whole amount?
I would.
The whole amount, they're asking for 120.
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts on that? Andrea, you put your hand up? or-
Rennie had his hand up. Rennie had his hand up first, so I'll let him go.
Go ahead. Isn't she kind?
I totally support the legal services of the Hudson Valley and see that this is important. Given though that we're shaving some other things, I was thinking at least 60,000. So I think for us to consider somewhere between 60 and 120, either we do it now or we come back to it after we've seen what the other costs are. But this is definitely going to be a service that we need here in the Hudson River Valley in Kingston in the next few months.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna have any idea how much we're gonna need it. So, we can come up with any number and we might not be even close. So, yeah, why don't we come back to that and see if we can come up with something.
Well, let's put a placeholder, and I said 120, Rennie said 60. Let's make it, I could live with 80, then we can come back, but let's put something in there for now.
80 is what I had on my notes.
Okay.
Me too.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I'll put
Okay.
80
Good.
there.
I think that's a pretty good number. Is everybody really not on board with that, or can we work with that? Everybody good? All right, let's go with
Okay.
that.
So the next one is the Peaceful Guardians application. Do you all want to take a 5-minute, 10-minute break and use the facilities and look at the application? Or do you want to keep plugging along?
Doesn't matter to me. I can move along, but if everybody wants to take 5, I'm good with.
No, I don't need to. I was just suggesting if you needed a few minutes to look.
Everybody need 5?
We're on a roll.
Okay.
All right.
Was Peaceful Guardian on the original, Brenna? Was Peaceful Guardian on the original list?
No.
No, I think I explained earlier that when the applications were due, there were 2 organizations that reached out to me to see if I had received their applications. And I told them no, and they said, well, we sent them, and here's the confirmation email, or here's the email. And so I asked Kyle IT, and apparently when they copied and pasted my email into my address into their email to send to me, for whatever reason, it didn't go through. I don't know if it blocked it on their end or my end, but ultimately they checked in to see if I had gotten it, and then through other avenues, other people in the city, one sent it to Kristen, one sent it to Amy. I was able to receive the application, saw that they submitted it on time, and so they were included. One of them was the Trolley Museum. I can't remember what the other one was.
And how much
Mr.
are they-
Strong submitted the Peaceful Guardians application, did not follow up to see if I received it. Subsequently, when he knew that the questions were sent out to other organizations, he said, hey, why didn't anybody ask me any questions? And Amy said that we hadn't gotten his application, so he sent it to her. It was submitted, but I didn't receive it. It's nowhere except now, finally, last week, I saw it. And so because it shows that it was submitted on time, we included it, but it's entirely up to you whether you want to consider it.
But how much are they asking?
$45,000.
Okay, thank you.
Randy, what does that mean?
45.
What did that mean?
45,000.
Oh, you're just saying. All right. I didn't know what that meant. Okay. All right. How's everybody feel about this? Again, maybe this might be a better question for Amy. Are they able to, if we give them less money, are they still able to accomplish some of what they want to do? Is it an all or nothing thing?
Let
they
me
scale it?
scrutinize. I did not scrutinize their application, and since he got it to me so late, I didn't really have time to ask him for a budget table or get any questions out to him. So
Right.
if you guys want to move on, I will study this in the meantime. I mean, I guess they
Just
could
say-
reduce the number of tutoring sessions. I mean, it's over a 4-month period. So you might not have to fund 4 months. You could fund 1 month or 2 months.
Right.
Or no months.
I mean, it certainly sounds like the kind of program that you can scale back if need be.
Right.
It doesn't sound like it's got to be all, so see if you can get a sense on that, and then we can talk about it. Maybe we could bring that down a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So once you dig around a little bit, see what you can
All
tell
right.
us.
All right. I'll work on
We will
that.
move forward.
All right.
Okay.
I was muted, sorry. You're going to come back to Peaceful Guardians, so the next one you're looking to consider is the People's Place application.
Okay. Rennie.
Yes. This one I think is really important because they are providing food. Most of the other ones we're looking at are working on housing or something that's not food related. And we know that People's Place has done a great job. They've really put huge effort into working through the COVID crisis. And I think this is something that's important to support this real anchor of our community. So I would go for the full 100,000 request on this one.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. This without, I know I've said it so many times, this place is the poster child for what has been going on. They went out from day one. They put their whole organization in jeopardy financially. They've been spending so much money and physically in jeopardy. They've been out every day. And I don't think there's any place in this city that has provided as much positive news and positive energy as they have throughout, without any knowledge that they might get something back from this. They just put themselves out there, and this is one I feel very strongly about, and I would like to see them get the whole shot. But I'm open for debate.
no debate here. I concur with what Steve and Randy have said completely. They are the shining star of the shining star of the city.
Jeffrey.
Hand up.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. I think they have a proven track record of doing this work. They do it like nobody else. They did it long before they knew that this funding was coming. And I also want to remind everybody that when we were allocating for the CDBG grant, the reason why we didn't give them the full amount was because we knew that they would qualify for this funding. So I'm all in favor of giving them their full ask.
Okay, Rita?
100% in favor. They have outdone themselves through this COVID pandemic. And as Jeffrey said, long before there was a pandemic, they were serving the community. And their efforts have just been, I don't even have the words to describe what People's Place has done for this city during this pandemic.
For 30 years.
Andrea, did you have a comment?
No, I mean, I can echo what everybody else is saying, but I'll just say I echo everybody else's sentiment. I was actually just curious because we're getting to just the last few. Brenna, I just wanted to check my number. I think it looks like we have $355,000. Is that where it is now?
That's what I got.
I'm sorry,
That's what I got.
The total of what we've just Over 355.
So I don't have it that way. I can, hold on, let me just,
Well, I was just curious, but we don't need to take up this time.
you're over 63,000 right now. And we haven't, with the, I haven't changed the mayor's requests down below. So hold on. Let me just add them all up.
I personally think it's a little premature. Let's just get through the list and then we can
That's fine. Yep.
Let
differ.
me go back.
We have 320.
Yeah,
And
I agree. All right.
take away my question. It doesn't matter
Okay.
because we're gonna have to come back. Thank you.
Okay, so I have People's Place at 100. The next application you wanted to discuss was Rise Up Kingston. Sorry.
The who, what? Which one?
Rise Up Kingston.
Rise Up, okay.
Okay. I mean, the only issue, I kind of like the idea that they have, with the, sanitation needs and, diapers and things like that. My only concern here is the methodology. And correct me if I'm wrong, the way I'm reading how they want to operate is to hand out gift cards and people can go to the market and get diapers or whatever. I mean, I just think this is going to be a bookkeeping nightmare. I don't know how we're going to keep on top of this. This is going to be a full-time job to monitor this for the next few months, and I think if anything would raise a flag with the government, to question what went on here, it's someone giving out gift cards. I just don't, I really have a problem with the way that's being put on the table. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
I feel the same way. I tend to, we have so little money to give. And we had good discussions on people who really deserve it, that have been out there for years. I don't think this falls into the same tier, the same category. I would go for 0 on this.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Now, Rita, go ahead.
So I'm not in favor of the mayor's recommendation on this project here. However, I do think that, funding them, it would benefit. I see almost on a daily basis under the mutual aid posts how people are needing things and, they're needing toiletries and they're needing rides to get to this place or to go pick up food or go grocery shopping. It's a wide range of items that people are almost requesting on a daily basis. So I do like the idea that they will provide diapers, formula, hand sanitizer, and hygienic products. I don't know about, I'm on the fence with the asks though. I think that some of the other programs that are directly, in line with the COVID pandemic, I think that they may serve better. But I'm not in favor of giving them 0, but I don't know how much yet I want to give them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know that I want to bring it down to 0. I do like some of the ideas. I think they're very good. One of the ideas that they put forth was cleaning services, like laundry services. And that's a big thing now. People have to wash their clothes a lot more than they did before. Perhaps if we could figure out a way that it be stipulated, or if they could get gift cards to a cleaning service, I'm just leery of the idea that you're going to give somebody $100 gift card and be able to document that they use it for sanitary supplies, diapers, or food, or, once you go to Target, there's going to be bills, but boy, this is talk about using our administrative costs here. This is going to be a lot of work, to document all this. And if we get a letter from the government says, hey, we're going to check this out, well, it's really going to get a little hairy, trying to do all this. And, once we give the money out and, a few months down the road, we can't get documentation what it was used for, we're not going to get the money back. I mean, will have used it, and, I would say for good purposes, but we have to document that these are for good purposes. We can't just presume because it's a good idea, this is going to happen. So, Rennie, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's really important to get some of those hygiene products, because from what I understand, like SNAP benefits, you can't buy things like that. So the question for me would be, is there a way to work this so that they would purchase the hygiene products in bulk and then provide them to people, and then you're not, you would only have a few receipts rather than this mess you're talking about of trying to keep receipts that people would get from when they purchase things with a card.
Now, perhaps Amy, maybe you can answer this better, certainly better than me. Have we done this before? Have we stipulated something like that? No. Can we do something like that?
We can, when we divide, when an organization doesn't get the full ask, we need to modify the budget. And so we can revise the budget and say that, Brenna, please correct me if I'm wrong, but, we've taken things out and downsized. Their budget included like $6,000 for, moderators and pod leaders. Let me go back to their budget table.
Can I interject while you're looking for that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
please do.
So Steve, you asked if we could change it. So two things. Have we ever funded gift cards or gift certificates before? The answer is no. And second, can we modify it? Can we ask them to modify their proposal? And the answer is yes.
Yes. So for example, their cost, I don't know what happened to this. It looks weird. Diapers, household items, they wanted $7,000, laundry fund, $3,000 and change. And then they wanted $6,000 for moderators, language justice, PPE and cleaning. So you can, Brenna, we can modify the budget and say we can, instead of gift cards, because I agree with you, I think that's an accounting nightmare and it's very risky, is they meaning mutual aid, Rise Up Kingston, can purchase the products and then supply the receipts so that we can be sure that they are buying what they said that they would buy. And laundry fund. So we can be, okay, here's Callie. Okay, what is she saying? Callie is sending me an email. The plan wasn't to purchase gift cards, but to purchase items in bulk. Right. Because that's what I had seen. So we wouldn't give them, here, have at it, buy gift cards, because that's risky. So we would then disperse the funds. Callie or whomever she deems can go out and purchase the personal hygiene products, the baby products, and give us the receipts so that we can monitor and make sure it is used for an eligible expense.
Okay.
So we don't,
Brenna?
we can be more specific. Like if you downsize it from whatever she's asking, 109, and you say, here, you can have 20 or whatever, we can, work together at Callie and I and say, all right, what do you want? How do you want to reallocate your budget? She might decide that she doesn't want the language justification, and she would rather do it for baby items. And as long as it's eligible,
Okay.
we can do that.
All right, Brenna?
Hi, so, you could, rather than doing it afterward, you could select the things that you want to fund from that proposal, and assign, funding, allocations to those things that you would like them to do. If you don't choose to fund the whole thing, you can select the things that you would like them to do with the CDBG funds.
Right, because we've
And
done that
second,
before.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. We're not allowing, because we can't right now, the way the meeting is set up, we can't provide input directly from the applicants at this point. So if anyone else is emailing or texting anyone to provide information right now, that's what we were hoping to achieve with the questions and answers beforehand. Now you deliberate. We can't give favoritism to one organization or another by having direct contact to all of you right now. So after this meeting, there will be a public comment period opened, and there will be a public hearing. And instead of the usual presentations that everybody does, the applicants do in chambers, because we have to do it virtually and socially distanced, that is when I have encouraged all of the organizations to have all of their supporters provide as much input as possible. And I will provide, Amy and I will provide all of that to you before the July 7th, before the caucus and the July meeting, council meeting.
Okay. All right. Were you done, Amy?
Yeah, yes. I mean, as Brenna had said, and we've done this before, we've done it with Rondat Youth Programming and with other CDBG, that we would just, select a portion of it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable that we can do something like that. I was just a little, trying to look out for the city. So anyway,
I do want to say, I want to affirm what Rennie had said about purchasing hygiene products, that SNAP benefits do not cover that, which has long been a gripe, but that's the federal government, that you could buy soda and candy, but you can't buy toothpaste, which is just ridiculous.
all right.
So,
Okay.
anyway.
Rita?
So, I think Brenna probably answered my question, but I like the idea of breaking up that budget that they submitted, wherein they assign certain monies for certain items. If we could fund it that way, that would be great. The items, the baby products and diapers and formula and things, those are necessities that we need to use. And so if they assigned a certain number to those items, then maybe we can go ahead and fund it that way.
Okay. And that sounds doable, right, Amy? You can work that out.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm looking at their budget here, and they have $7,000 as a monthly cost and $42,000 for a 6-month cost on direct resources such as diapers, household items, and hygiene products. So those are two numbers.
Is that a question or
Is
a
that the
comment?
number that you're throwing out there to put?
No, that was a comment. I'm just looking at their budget here. So I was just giving,
Okay.
these are numbers that we can start off on.
You see that their ask was 109, the mayor is recommending 64.8. What is everybody feeling? Rennie?
They have two different sets of costs. One is the monthly cost, the other is the 6-month cost. And so if we went with their 6-month cost for both the hygiene products plus the laundry, they've got 64,500. That seems, I don't know. It seems a little high to me, but that would be, I think for me, that would be the very top that I would go for with this one.
Do you have any input? How's everybody feel about that? I mean, that's pretty close to what the mayor is recommending. Anybody, do we want to go with that figure? Doug, then Rennie? Turn your mic on, Doug. Doug, turn your mic on.
I'm sorry, everyone. I think even the 60 is too high for compared to what everybody else is doing. And as of right now, the sum total are already almost over the amount of money that we have to give.
Yeah,
And
that puts us in the negative.
This is going to put us way over. And I don't, food and rent assistance and legal assistance, I support all the way. But this one, you can't do everything. So I would tend not to support this as much. So I would,
Okay.
I think,
Again,
personally, I think 60 is too much.
okay. And again, we're getting back to we're getting back to the starting point, where we're discussing organizations that have actually outlaid expenses here. And, maybe they have, and I'm not aware of it, but I didn't see anything in their write-up that they have outlaid expenses. They're waiting for money so they can do so. So, that's kind of a jumping on point for me. Rennie?
They note in answering their questions too that they are working with a lot of other funders. They do note that they are connected with other groups that are raising monies. I've seen that the Mutual Aid Network has done some really great stuff in terms of distributing items. But my question there might be one of, we've been looking at organizations that have a long track record. We talked about People's Place having been here for 30 years. So, that's another thing just to put in the hopper. I don't know what that would do in terms of our final allotment of money here, but they are very new, and it's unclear to me too, like what's the relationship between the asking organization and the Mutual Aid Network. Are they the same thing, or is the asking group one part of that network? So I do have some questions in terms of how this would be worked administratively.
Okay. Does anybody want to venture setting the bar somewhere?
Yeah, I would venture 20,000.
20,000.
I was at 15, but 20 is fine with me.
Actually, I was at 30. Only because, it appears that they're working with the Kingston Mutual Aid. And again, I see the need. I see, almost on a daily basis, people requesting items. So I do like the service that it's providing. And, so I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. I'm good with 30.
I'm in the middle. 20 is 15, 20, and 30. 20 is in the middle.
But if we say 23 for now?
I was gonna split right. I was gonna say 25. 23 is on the board. Does anybody? How's everybody feel about 23? Anybody not feel very strongly against? Okay, 23 it is. Okay.
Okay.
Can't hear you, Brenna. You're frozen. hear you.
I wanted to confirm with Brenna that I have that we've got 18,383 left.
Okay.
I show us over.
Brenna, are you trying to say something? I can't hear you. Okay. All right. I can't hear. Can anybody hear Brenna?
No,
I can't.
I can't hear. Okay.
I show 388,000. Brenda, you concur with that?
Well, I thought we weren't worrying about that yet.
Yeah, let's not keep track. Let's wait till we get to the end and then start, start
Okay.
moving this around. Let's not try and balance the budget before we're even done. And I think we're going to penalize people if we do it like that. So, all right. So let's move forward. Hopefully we can hear Brenna. No, we can't hear you. Amy
Press
can.
did you touch your computer, Brenna, where you turn the actual volume off? Because it says you're unmuted.
Andrea, she might have to go out and come back in again.
Yeah, or call in with the number. And you can stay on the screen. I think that's what Rennie is doing right now. Because I think he was having audio issues, so you could call. You just turn yours on the computer on mute, and then call in, and then we still get the visual and audio.
So is anybody else
So
keeping
we're waiting
track
for
of
that? I think we can skip Rupco because we already decided for now at least that they would be 80,000.
Yeah, and then I think the next one, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the next one people raised their hands for was the Ulster UIDN, correct?
Yeah.
Not the Ulster, but yes. So that was the next one where they asked 40,000. The mayor recommended 30,000. I don't know if you want to discuss that one.
I think this is another one. It's really hard to put a number on how much is going to be needed, how much is going to be, how much demand. I would think there would be demand for it, but I would be hard for us to put any kind of number on, how much they're going to be used. I can't even imagine a way we would figure this out to see if that's equitable, whether we can bring it down. And we can, but does anybody have a recommendation here? They're asking for 40. The mayor is recommending 30. Does anybody want to venture an opinion here? No takers, huh?
I would tend to go lower than that, maybe 20. I agree with you, Steve. This is a hard one to understand how it's going to, the need that it's going to fill, how it's going to be administered, and what their track record is. I would tend to shy away from the full amount on this.
Anybody else?
I don't know what's wrong.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Brennan?
Hey, Brenna's back. Yay.
Yes.
Right. So, Doug, are you putting the number at 20? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
All right. How's everybody feel about that? Good, no good, more or less? I could go. Andrea, go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk to Brenna for a second. We did, when you called in, we did hear you. So if you want to try that again, it actually did work. We can't hear you on the computer, but we heard you. I think you called in.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, but my spreadsheet froze too.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I
Now
think
I
it's
can't
something
hear
wrong.
you.
But if you could
I did.
call. All right, sorry, Steve. I just had to.
That's all right, no problem. Okay, so do we want to go with the 20? Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
All right, Doug good, Jeffrey good, Andrea good, everybody good. All right, 20. All right,
At 20.
okay.
So on to United Way then?
Brenda is caller 8. We could hear you there on the phone
Okay.
now.
Great. Sorry.
Did we just finish
Okay.
talking about the UN? I don't know if you
Yes,
want to
I
pick
got
up.
that. I heard everything you said. You just couldn't hear me. I have
Okay.
20,000 for UIDN, and you're moving on to discuss United Way.
And United Way is 50,000, not 5,000. I missed the zero.
Oh, geez, wow. That's a
Yeah,
big
I was
difference.
just like, that sounds awfully low.
Okay, so they have asked for 50. The mayor is recommending 0. The issue is rental assistance. It seems like we have some rental assistance applications in here already. So, how's everybody feeling about that? Jeffrey?
Yeah, I from what I understood, Family of Woodstock is also administering their allocations for them. So I don't know. I'm confused about why they're both applying if they're both doing the same service and Family of Woodstock is saying they're administering for them.
Right. And that's a lot of money. For the 5,000, didn't seem so bad, but 50 kind of
You can give them 5,000.
yeah, well, I guess we can
Then,
do whatever we want. But
Not quite.
how does everybody feel? I mean, you know, it seems like a little.
then on the
Doug,
other
go ahead.
hand, United Way has been one of those organizations that's been there all the time, tested. They're well organized. Maybe 50 is too much. And maybe there's some double counting here in terms of, rental assistance. I don't know. I mean, how can we know? But I don't feel comfortable putting them at 0. I think they're far more worthy of some others that we've given substantially more, and they've been with us a long time. I'm surprised. Do we know why the mayor wanted to zero them out?
Other
Yeah,
than
we
the
can-
explanation he gave you.
No, he only said why he did one. He didn't say why he didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
All right.
sure.
I mean-
I agree with Steve. I'm not sure how.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure how this is going to work. It seems like it's a duplicate of services between them and Family of Woodstock and Mutual Aid, and they're working with all of these people, and it seems like they're providing the same services. But I don't know how that's going to
Well,
work.
that's my, yeah. I'm not quite sure. Rennie?
I was going to say, I think it's that maybe it seems like since the mayor didn't put any money to Rupco, and seem to put a bunch of eggs rather in the family of Woodstock basket. Maybe that's why he went for 0 here. But and it does seem like if they're duplicating services with family of Woodstock, that covers, that gets the money to the same people without necessarily being a problem for us supporting one of the longtime social service organizations of the county.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts? I mean, it kind of sounds like everybody thinks 50 is a lot of money. So do we want to set the bar someplace and discuss?
Do we want to look at the budget table? Would that help?
I'm not sure if it would or not.
Let me see if there's anything interesting.
All right. Why don't I'm gonna start the conversation at 25. What does everybody think? Do we think they deserve something, even though it's a possible duplication? We want to give them. I mean, they are certainly a community-minded organization. They help out a lot of other organizations. I certainly don't mind helping them out. I just really, since that number of 50,000 hit me, I was ready to give them what they wanted before, but
sorry.
All right. So anyway, what do you think, Brenna? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brenna.
That's okay. I just wanted to give you guys some perspective. We're almost to the bottom of the list of all of the ones that you wanted to discuss. There's this one, and then the YMCA emergency childcare. And with the YMCA emergency childcare at 0 and the United Way at 25, you're over 36,592.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that at this point.
With what?
With us being over, because we're going to have to go back and look at all the numbers and
Yeah, this is just the first run through. We're used to this.
Our target number.
Yeah. No,
Can
I just wanted
I,
to give you some perspective. That's all.
Can I read you?
Compare.
Can I read you part of their grant app? The total grant amount requested is the total. Hold on, I'll take you off a speaker. You'll probably hear me better. The total grant amount requested is $50,000 and will be used to cover costs related to rent and home mortgage assistance, utility assistance, technology necessary to participate in virtual educational or vocational programs, car repairs, car insurance, food assistance, the purchase of essential non-food items such as diapers and baby formula, and other needs that help to sustain a Kingston household's financial and emotional stability during the current health crisis and subsequent recovery.
Amy, I don't have it in front of me. Are they one of the organizations that are bringing other funding to their project too?
Let me look. United Way, where are they? Hold on, it's way down at the bottom. The U's are at the end.
Rennie had his hand up while Amy's looking, if you don't.
The only in kind that they have. Oh,
sorry.
Do you want me? The only in kind that they have on their budget table, I'll go back to the narrative.
Go ahead, Amy.
The only in kind donation that their contribution that they've listed is $5,564 salary and fringe. Let me go back to their application and see, Brenna, if they've discussed other funding.
Well, I think if they had it, it would be in the budget.
United Way of Ulster County's Emergency and Homelessness Prevention Fund is currently supported by donations from the Bruderhof community, the Novo Foundation, Bank of America Foundation, community foundations of the Hudson Valley, and individual donors. They have been operating its emergency and homelessness prevention fund for the past 8 years. And successfully partnering with many human service providers, including but not limited to family, RUPCO, legal services, community action, Ulster Literacy, Workers' Justice, DSS, etc. Let's see, we forged new partnerships with the Kingston, New York Mutual Aid Facebook group, the UIDN, and Rural and Migrant Ministries. So they do a lot of collaborating. Based on an average allocation of $750 per household, we intend to serve 66 households in the city of Kingston, or 198 individuals.
Steve, Rennie has his
Rennie
hand up.
wants- Yeah, I was just waiting for Amy to take a little break. Go ahead, Rennie.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm of two minds here thinking about this one, because on the one hand, they're saying things that duplicate also products that we talked about in terms of the mutual aid network. And if United Way has a much longer history of providing these sorts of things, because they're talking about providing food assistance, the purchase of essential non-food items such as diapers and baby formula. So on the one hand, that might mean moving money from the other category to this one, if we're going on the idea of more established organizations. But on the other hand, I do feel like this one is also at the same time a little unfocused, and it's unclear to me who would be deciding, because they give, a list of quite a number of different things that they would put the money to. At the same time, I can imagine for any family that's suffering from loss of income in this time period, that $750 would be a really powerful boost.
Okay, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and I also think we can, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can tell them where we want, out of all the services they're proposing, we can tell them we would like you to focus this money that we're giving you on for this particular type of service, right?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a very good point, Jeffrey. I mean, we're doing it, we're going to be doing that with Rise Up Kingston. Certainly, Amy can work with them, to kind of, like you said, put a little more focus on it. They do seem to be all over the place with this. And, I think they should focus a little bit more. And especially from our standpoint, it's going to make our jobs a little bit easier, to be able to verify these things if they're a little more focused. So that's a great idea. Brenna?
Hi, if I could make a suggestion that you maybe, if you're going to do that, select the things that you want to fund for United Way. If you could make the mortgage assistance a priority. There really weren't any other asks to do mortgage assistance. It's mostly rental assistance.
Okay. All right, do we have to specify, or that would just be something we would leave up to Amy, right? To work with them?
We should notate it in the minute.
Yeah, you can say now so it's recorded what your preference would be in funding their activities.
Okay.
Yeah, this way, when I approach them and I sit down, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Brenna's point is well taken. For me to sit down and say, well, this is what you're doing, we do need to memorialize it and record it and put it in the minutes so that it's clear that this was a vote by the council and I'm not acting autonomously.
Okay, so just for the record, Brenna, because you kind of broke up on my screen. I really didn't hear what you said we should be focusing on.
I suggested mortgage assistance because a lot of the other activities that you are in favor of are funding rental assistance, and mortgage assistance is going to be needed as well, especially in the fall after the courts get through their dockets and what I'm looking for, the forgiveness, the term of forgiveness for both rental. Yes, the moratorium on rental and mortgage payments. And then when the courts get through the dockets, the people are going to be needing some help with their mortgages as well, with banks that are not, local banks who are deferring their payments to the end and, may be asking for all of their back mortgage payments at the same time or close together payments. That makes sense. Sorry.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that stipulation? Everybody good? Yes. Brenna, you have a question or you agree?
I wanted to add that the other thing we talked about with that one was the possibility of the hygiene products. So if we went with United Way, we could ask for them to do the hygiene products and the mortgage assistance and give them a higher percentage of their request.
Okay. Everybody on board with that?
But what level are we at? Still 25,000? Ready?
We were at 25.
Yeah, the number hasn't changed.
Well, I put that on
Let's say
initially,
25 for now. I
and
think the question was
nobody offered.
the question was whether to move any of the money that we at this point have put in the Rise Up pot, whether we would want to take some from there if we do the hygiene products through United Way instead. That's the only question.
But even so, do we want to move it down from 50,000, no matter what the stipulations are? I put it on the table at 25. Nobody's really concurred or disagreed. Doug is good with 25. What does everybody think about 25? Okay, all right, let's go with 25 for now. Okay, very good.
I have 25. The next application you wanted to talk about was, and the last one that you haven't discussed yet, is the YMCA emergency childcare.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is one of those, we keep going back to to what I feel is the same issue. I mean, I think they have been providing this care. So, they are, their budget is way off because they've been providing care for emergency workers. That's my understanding. They're not trying to set up a program. They've already done this. Am I correct with that, Amy?
Well, not emergency, but yes, they've had a child care program for a while. They currently do child care.
All right. Okay. So now they've kind of moved it to child care for emergency workers according to their write-up. Okay. But I would presume that, there was still a gigantic need for that as people were out of work and more, you need more daycare for other things, people moving around. And, I would think there'd still be a big need for it. Now I see they asked for 50, the mayor recommended 0. I mean, I'd certainly like to see them get something. I think they provided a valuable service. Andrea?
Please,
This is Andrea. I just think this is such a important thing right now, especially with summer camps not opening up, schools were sort of closed. I just think we really, I'm in big support of this one.
I am too. Doug, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't find this on my list. This is the YMCA, which program?
Emergency childcare.
Childcare for emergency workers,
It's line number 35 on the spreadsheet.
50,000.
Well, line 39, application 35.
Okay, and this is 50,000, okay. No, I don't have any other questions yet.
Okay. How does everybody feel about the amount?
Steve, you have Rennie and Rita both their
Oh, I'm
hand
sorry.
up.
No, you're down at the bottom again. I got to move you up. Okay, I'm going to say Rita this time. I went with Rennie last time.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to, I'm just agreeing with Andrea that this service is really needed at this time. With the city moving back into these phases, we're in phase 3 now, I think. And, so more parents are now having to go back to work, but they don't have anything to do. They don't have anywhere to put their children. So we definitely need this. I wish that we could give them the full ask on this, because I think this is one of the more important services that's being provided right now.
Is this over and above what they are currently doing?
That was my understanding, that they have used a lot of additional resources towards
Okay.
this. That's the way I read it.
All right.
Amy, what do you have a different opinion on that or no?
Well, it's been a while since I read them, so I was hoping you guys were more current than I.
Well, it's been a while since I read it too, but that's my recollection. That
Okay.
they've been expending a lot of resources on this. But
Now, day
they've
camps
been
are,
doing it.
right, yeah, never mind.
Go ahead.
Because the city is doing respite camps, right? We're not doing day camps, but we're going to have respite. But I think these children are too young for that.
Maybe I'm not sure. All right. How does everybody feel? Rennie?
Steve, you can still have Rennie's hand, yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 points. One is they're definitely doing something more, because they're saying that they would be providing more childcare for a longer period in the day. And I think that is absolutely crucial. I just want to make sure, though, this would be a different population of children than those served by the Boys and Girls Club. But
Right.
this would be younger kids. I just want to make sure there's not any duplication.
I think so. But is
You
this
think
a
there is
6 month
duplication?
care?
Go
No,
ahead,
I
Amy.
don't think there's any duplication.
No, there's no.
Okay. All right. So how does everybody feel about the amount? I mean, it is a very large sum.
Well, remember,
Truthfully,
there's,
I think,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
they're doing it for 6
Well, I was just going to
months.
say, okay. I mean, I think, and I'm just really venturing an opinion here. The Y, I think, is one of those organizations where they were going to do it regardless of reimbursement or no reimbursement. So,
Right.
They might be happy to get any amount from us just to alleviate some of the cost overruns.
Right.
So, they might not necessarily be really unhappy if we cut this in half. But I really,
Yeah, then
I'd be hard pressed. Go ahead.
yeah, and half would be 3
Yeah.
months.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest, the 20, especially per month, really. 5,000 cover 3 months of childcare. I think that would be a huge help and important. So that's my recommendation is 25.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I concur. I was
All right.
going to,
Everybody,
I was going to suggest 20 or 25. 20 is fine.
all right, 25 seems to be the number that everybody's putting out there. So how's everybody feel? Good? Good with the 25? All right, 25 it is.
Okay, I've got that at 25 and you are over, that's the last one that you wanted to reconsider. And you're over $61,583.
Okay.
Donna, my numbers don't
How about,
coincide
What
with
about-
yours.
All right, let me go from the top because I'm using your
Okay.
spreadsheet and I checked the functions
Yep.
before we start.
And
So maybe,
check my formula.
wait,
Hold on.
wait. Hold on, I'm off by 9. Hold on.
$9? I hope you're saying.
No. Hold on, sorry.
I
Okay.
have us at 56,000 over right now.
Really? I did something wrong then. I've got something wrong. Okay. I'll go by you guys.
I got 458,000.
What do you have? I fixed. Wait, hold on.
I have 458.
So
Oh.
I had a crazy 9 roaming around there. So now I have you over 61,574. That doesn't agree with
Wow.
either of them.
No.
So let me go from the top then. So 44
Okay,
for
let's go from the top.
administration. 44 for administration, 15 for Boys and Girls Club, 10 for CCE.
Oh, I didn't have them in there. Okay.
I had them at
Brenna,
5.
Yeah, I'm here.
I actually thought we were coming back to CCE. I don't think there was a number decided on that one.
Okay. Cause yeah, I didn't have that in there
Okay.
at all. All right.
All
Well,
right, I put that at 0. So 80,000 for family, 80,000 for legal services, 100 for People's Place, 23 for Rise Up, 80 for Repco, 20 for UIDN, 25 for United Way, and 25 for the Y. So now I have you over 51,574.
51,574.
So,
All
Brenna,
right,
we
I'm
didn't have anything in there for Family of Woodstock?
Yeah,
Yeah, you have
80,000.
100. Oh, wait, 80, I'm sorry.
We had 80 for Family of Woodstock?
Here, yes, 80. Yep.
Nope. For CCE. Yes.
0 for CCE. You were gonna, sorry, 0 for CCE. You were gonna come back and talk about it.
I'm happy with taking money,
Yeah, I have
reallocating
80
money
for
from Family
family.
of Woodstock.
Randy has his hand up, Steve.
Where'd he go?
Steve.
Oh, here. How'd you get over to that side? You moved around. Go ahead, Rennie. Oh, you're frozen now.
I'm wondering, what if we took 10,000 off the 44,000 for administration and brought that down to 34?
No, 10% of 440,000 is $44,000.
Right, he's
Right, so you
suggesting.
take 10,000 off of that and it brings it down to 34,000. At least where I live.
And then put the 10 to CCE.
I'm not sure where we put it at this point.
I mean, we need to shave off over 51,000, so I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah.
putting it.
Right.
You do have a lot. You're giving Rupco almost all of what they're asking. Let me look at their budget table and see. And I love Rupco and I love what they do, but
We also talked about, some of the duplication with United Way, and we put 25, or you put 25 down there and saying that you might shave off a little bit more from Rise Up. So I don't know if that's something that you want to consider doing, because United Way could do some of the hygiene purchases. So if there's a new number for Rise Up, if anybody has that, because we put it into the United Way instead. Shave a little bit off of that.
Yeah, I'm for that. They're all
Maybe like
providing the
15?
same services.
So would you be comfortable with 15,000 for
Yeah,
Rise?
I'm
How
okay with
much?
15.
15?
15 for who? You
How much?
broke up there. I didn't hear what you said. 15 for who?
Rise Up, because the United Way is going to be doing the work that,
Everybody's frozen here.
I support that.
Brenda, can you put that in?
15,000.
I missed it completely. Everybody's frozen. For who?
Rise Up Kingston to do 15,000.
That's what I put there. Yes, I did hear you all.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
You want to take 10 off of administration?
And did we decide to reduce the administrative fee to the city?
Yes,
So now
I
we're
put
down
that
to
at
like
30.
7.5%. Is that right?
Yeah, can we
That's what you
get more talking one at a time? Because it's getting a little confusing. Thank you. Brenna?
Okay,
I
Brenda.
put the administration at 34,015 for Rise Up. I haven't made any other changes yet.
Jeff? Jeffrey?
Yes, I suggest, and I hate to cut from anybody, but I suggest since both Rupco and People's Place are getting very close to their full ask, we could shave off a little bit from both of those. Maybe cut both of them by 10. And that would bring us I think that would bring us down to where we need to be.
Close.
Well,
right.
I think
So,
We still need to, oh, sorry.
okay, Brenda, go ahead.
So I just want to be clear. So you're saying, Jeffrey, take 10 off of Rupco to make it 70. And what was the other one?
People's Place.
10
now,
off of
family of Woodstock.
family.
Oh,
10 off of family to make that 70.
I think you said, Jeffrey said
Wait, no,
People's
you
Place.
said
Oh,
Yeah,
did you
you
say
said
People's Place,
because-
Jeffrey? Oh, okay.
because it was their ask. So 90 for People's Place. You are still over 13,574.
I'm at 3,574.
Take it from the top, please. 34 for administration,
Right?
15 for boys and girls,
Yeah.
80 for family,
Oh, you kept them at 80. I put them down to 7. Okay.
80 for
80 for
family.
legal, 80 for family, 80 for legal services, 90 for People's Place, 15 for Rise Up, 70 for Rupco, 20 for Ulster Immigrant Defense. sorry, there was an echo on my phone. And 25 for United Way, 20 and 25 for YMCA.
Right. Okay.
And where does that leave us? How much are we over?
13,574.
Andrea?
How about shaving up a little bit of the legal services? Maybe knocking that down a little bit? Because they could still do this for a little less.
Yeah, they're getting 15,000 from us from regular CDBG.
Yeah, so maybe cutting 10 off of there. Would everybody be comfortable with that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Sorry.
Taking 10
where?
off of legal services. Taking 10 off of for legal services to make that 70. And just for the record, I don't think any of us likes doing this part of
No, we don't.
where we are.
So you're still over by 3,574.
So why don't you do administration straight 30? And then we've got a surplus.
And what does that come out to?
Hold on.
Oh, baby.
That's okay with Brenna.
It's you're
We have
over
a
by,
surplus
or
of
you're under by
$426.
$426.
We're over by 400, Brenna?
Yeah.
No, you're under by 426.
Under by,
You have $426 to allocate, or you can just leave that. It's up to you.
I would leave it.
Brenna, for me, would you
Yeah.
please go down from the top again and slowly, because I missed something here, Mom.
Sure. Administration is 30.
Yep.
Boys and Girls Club 15.
All right,
Family.
Okay,
Family 80.
yep,
Legal Services 70.
yep,
People's Place 90.
yep,
Rise Up 15.
yep.
Repco 70.
Oh, there it is. Okay,
going.
go on.
Ulster Immigrant Defense Network 20. United Way 25. And YMCA 25.
So that adds up to 440,000.
Right.
Okay.
Any day I'm good.
we have
So we got
$426.
$426 to go out and get pizza.
Right.
No, you're not allowed to
Yeah.
use this money.
For the whole city.
I think either
Andrea?
I'm sorry.
So I was just going to
Go ahead.
suggest that we put 400 and change. I mean, it seemed like people were most reluctant taking it off of legal services or People's Place. So just picking one of those and putting the $400 on that. I don't know if anybody would be in favor of that.
Sure,
I go
make it
with
come out
People's
even.
Place. I go with
Place or
People's
split?
Place.
People's Place? Is everybody okay with putting the surplus, the 400 and whatever, back to People's Place?
Yes.
Doug?
What
Works
is,
for me.
what is the surplus exactly?
$426.
How much?
426.
So that would bring People's Place to 90,426.
Right.
And that would be the whole money.
We did agree Peaceful Guardians with zero, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to be sure we didn't forget that.
So, unless you want to talk some more about it, Steve, could you call for a motion to, or should we go through one more time, or are you all good? You all have, I don't know who said I
I'm
would.
good.
I'm good.
I think we're good.
I'm good.
Does anybody want it?
Just one, CCE was 0, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, all right. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. Well, if Steve can call for a motion to accept these recommendations as you've all discussed and deliberated.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Jeffrey motion. Second, anybody? Who's seconding?
Doug,
Doug, second. Okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Unanimous.
Thank you.
unanimous, Steve. 5.
Brennan, will you or Amy, who's going to work on the committee report?
I'll take care of it tonight.
Or she
Fine. I mean, there's no rush. It usually takes me a little bit to get it out because it takes a while. You could just send it to me. I'll send
Sure.
get signed.
It'll be to amend the 2019 annual action plan with these allocations.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. That it? We good?
Good job, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, I would just like to thank everybody. This has been, you guys are so nice to work with. You know, we really, I think we were all on the same page with just about everything here, which, yeah, may be good, may be bad, but, you know, we made some tough decisions here. This is always very tough. And this one, you know, I think given the circumstances, it just made this a little more meaningful and therefore tougher. So I appreciate the amount of work. I know how many times I've looked at all this stuff, and you know, you go back to it and you kind of, there's just so much there. It's really tough to keep it all in your head. So this is great. I've been leaning on everybody. I've been calling everybody for opinions and seeing, and I've got very honest opinions from everybody, and I really appreciate it. You guys have done a great job. My hat is off to you. Both my hats, both my community development and my alderman hat. Fine job. Very good. Andrea, thanks again for setting everything up. We certainly couldn't have done it without that. But everybody, very good job. I'll keep saying it over and over until we hang up, but great job. I really appreciate everybody. Good stuff.
Thank you, Steve.
So,
Thank you.
all right. So
Thank you, Steve.
we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion. Second to adjourn. We are adjourned. Everybody enjoy the rest of the night. Go have supper. Let's get that pizza Doug wanted.